Haiti and that very disturbing story. An urgent effort is underway to locate a group of 17 missionaries, 16 of them Americans, who were kidnapped in Haiti over the weekend. 5 children were in that group, the youngest reportedly just 2 years old, and the Haitian government says one of the country's most dangerous gangs is responsible. Joining us now to break this down is Steve Ganyard, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State and ABC News contributor. First, Steve, it's been a really tough time for Haiti. Obviously, there's the assassination of its president, a major earthquake. This is a country which struggles with so many things on a normal day. So if you can't give us a sense of what things are like on the ground as we learn more about this shocking kidnapping.
Yeah, Terry, you know, Haiti's such a sad story because every time you think it can't get worse, it does. And the thing that's most disturbing to me about this kidnapping is not the people who are in jeopardy, which I sincerely hope that they will be rescued and all be just fine. But this is going to drive out missionaries. This is going to drive out aid organizations. They're going to say it's just too dangerous to work in Haiti. And so the real loss here is the Haitian people who are so desperate and need the help that these groups bring. So very, very sad situation, and it continues to spiral into deeper chaos. And so hopefully this can be resolved and not make the situation worse.
And Steve, the U.S. government says it's in contact with Haitian authorities. What kind of authority do the Haitian authorities have? You know, what's going on behind the scenes right now to get these Americans released?
Yeah, there is no real authority in Haiti, so that's the problem. So it's what's probably happening right now is that the ambassador and the embassy is taking on the responsibility of the negotiation here. Remember that because they're in a foreign country, this group from Ohio can actually directly negotiate and pay the ransom if they want. But I'm sure that the U.S. government is saying, no, don't pay the ransom, because then you go down this slippery slope of then they're just going to kidnap other Americans or other foreign folks that are there to help the Haitian people. So it's one of these things where the U.S. is going to want to try and gain control. It seems like they have the FBI hostage negotiation teams in there trying to resolve this peacefully. If it's not peacefully resolved, Terry, there are a couple ways to do this if the situation gets dire. The FBI actually has an in extremis hostage extraction capability, as does special operations groups within the U.S. military. So hopefully it doesn't go down that path, because it will be very, very dangerous for everyone involved.
Because not only is this a painful and sort of frightening incident, it's also an outrage against, against citizens of the United States, the sovereignty of the United States. There are members of Congress now saying the government must do whatever we need to do to get these Americans back. You just outlined that we do have other capabilities. Well, what's the line there, and what are the repercussions if we needed to have a military component here?
Well, I think that that's going to be a decision made by the ambassador and the folks on the ground in the embassy. They'll be able to see how the negotiations are going, how are the discussions going. We know that in the past this gang has generally charged somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 to get people released after they've kidnapped them. So the U.S. government's going to go in and say, do you really want to go down this path? Because if you do, we will eventually bring you to justice. Haiti is not that big a country. They'll be able to track down whoever might injure these missionaries and bring them to justice. And those people who did the kidnapping are going to have to face that fact. Do they really want to ultimately get the justice that they deserve? So hopefully they can talk them out of it. But if it does get bad, if the embassy on the ground feels like the situation is deteriorating and those folks are in danger, then they'll bring in either the FBI or Special Operations Command to begin to do planning. But Terry, once you have that many people in a group, things can go very wrong. You know, if it were 1 or 2 hostages, it would be a lot easier. But the kidnappers probably have divided them up in groups, so there are probably various groups. So if you go tag one group and try to rescue one set of hostages, then they can pass the word, and maybe they would harm the other 2 groups. So nothing good can come of a hostage situation where you have this many people involved and you have to use force.
A very tough situation. And Steve, if I could get your take, your thoughts on a different national security issue, and draw on your experience, military and diplomatic. And this is China's test of that hypersonic missile, according to the Financial Times. ABC News hasn't been able to confirm it, but the Financial Times says that China's tested this remarkable weapon. How big a deal is it? How concerned does the American government have to be about it?
Terry, if you look at some of the comments from U.S. officials, it's we're not going to talk about it because this scares the heck out of us, and it should. This is a capability that the U.S. cannot match. So just to understand what this is, a hypersonic weapon is something that travels between Mach 5 and Mach 10, so about as fast as a ballistic missile or a missile going into space. But in this case, what the Chinese did is they launched it on a missile and orbited the Earth at least once, and then this missile released this hypersonic weapon, which can be nuclear capable, and struck very close to a target in China because they were testing this capability. The U.S. has no capability to either detect this missile or knock it down. And the other thing the Chinese did is that the U.S. has built these missile defenses so that we've been defending against Russian ballistic missiles and North Korean, so everything faces north that can defend us from attack. But in this case, the Chinese can fly this missile over the South Pole and come in behind the U.S. And because we can't see it and we can't defeat it, we are now at risk in a way that we have never been since 1945.
A really significant development in the confrontation with China. Colonel Steve Ganyard, thanks very much as always.
Thanks, Terry.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.